to this press conference with Director General Grossi. DG Grossi is here this week to present the IAEA's annual report for 2024 to the General Assembly, and that session starts at 3 o'clock. So we're having this press conference ahead of that presentation. And we will go straight to questions, if there are any. Yes, Pamela.
Thank you very much, Director General. I'm thanking you on behalf of the UN Correspondents Association for the briefing. It's Pamela Falk from U.S. News and World Report. My question is, I assume you've been running around, but in the last hour, North Korea launched a missile, a cruise missile, and the IAEA has not been able to get into North Korea, although there had been previous agreements. How worried are you about their weaponization of missiles in terms of nuclear threats? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Is this on? Yeah, good. Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very much, Pamela, for the question. I think this is a continuity in the sense, not in the good sense, but in the sense that the program there continues apace. We have been reporting about this. We have been reporting about the increased enrichment capabilities, reprocessing capabilities, new facilities being constructed, not only at the traditional Yongbyon compound, as we know it, but in other places. So this, which is part of something different, as you know, the IAEA as such is not looking at missiles capability, but is aware of that. And so it's part of an effort which is very determined. It runs counter to several United Nations Security Council resolutions. We continue to observe and monitor the nuclear part of it, and it goes unabated. So our concerns are, simply confirmed about this.
Knowing what you know and doing so much non-proliferation around the world, does this keep you up at night? I mean, is this one of the big concerns?
One of the things that are seldom referred to, apart from this is of course vectors, this is of course missile capability. They have a confirmed arsenal. The capacity to miniaturize and to develop warheads is most probably there. But one of the things I quite frequently refer to is the issue of nuclear safety. This is the only program, a nuclear program in the world that is going into every possible technological angle without any monitoring or any idea of the safety standards they are observing, if anything. So look at what we do in other places, including Ukraine and Russia and the war there and the preoccupation and the concerns that exists worldwide about nuclear safety. Here we have a gigantic program that has enrichment, reprocessing, a nuclear reactor, another one being built, without any view outside from their own people. So it's something that a question that I've been raising, especially in neighboring countries, very important neighboring countries, I would say, because it's been overlooked, and we should perhaps start thinking about this as well.
Thank you.
So from Chinese television.
Hi, Mr. Grossi.
Hi.
Xu Deji with China Central Television. Actually, I have two questions. The first one on Iran. We know that IAEA reached a deal with Iran, but the snapback sanction is still going on. How does that impact your engagement with the Iranian side? Did you find anything that could prove that Iran is still developing nuclear weapons? And secondly, We heard a lot of rumors that you're probably going to campaigning for the next Secretary General. Can you confirm that? And do you have any comments on that? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Well, first of all, of course, when it comes to Iran and our work, there's a sort of a pattern that when something happens, a resolution is approved somewhere here or in Vienna. Normally, Iran has replied by reducing their cooperation with the IAEA. This is something I regret, and I have said repeatedly to our Iranian counterparts that should not be the case. Really, and this is again a case where the snapback was activated, if we can call it like that. Iran responded by saying that they would be looking at the cooperation with us. I should say, however, that they reiterated their disposition, the willingness, and their conviction to remain within the regime, the non-proliferation regime. Of course, there's a lot that could be said in terms of the real cooperation, but I think it's a very wise step to say we do not leave the NPT. Then there are the inspections and the things that they should be doing, and if they do it, all right. But I think that was important. After the 12-day war, as it is called, we had to withdraw our inspections from Iran for safety reasons, obviously, because they were there. And ever since, I have been trying to reconstruct this relationship. I'm frequently in contact with the Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, and with others. We saw that in July I went to Cairo and we signed under the auspices of President Sisi and Foreign Minister Badr al-Abdelati, we signed a good understanding that would allow for our inspections to proceed. So all of this is working, not perfectly though, but it is working. You said whether we have any knowledge that they are continuing to develop nuclear weapons. No, they are not, and they were not. I want to be very clear on this because we are often misquoted about this, and people say that we say things that we never said. Right on the contrary. Whereas we have said, and I repeat it today, that the cooperation has not been as forthcoming as it should be. We said in our last report, in our June report, that is often mentioned as something of a trigger for things that happen. In that report, for those who care to read it, which would be perhaps an interesting thing to do before talking about a report, we said clearly that Iran did not have a program. But that's that. On the other thing, yes, I will be a candidate for the position of Secretary General. It's not secret, and I think it shouldn't be. We live in a society where everything is known, and we should have a relaxed conversation about that. As to whether that affects my job, not at all. Not at all. On the contrary, some people say, well, because you are a candidate for the position, then you are going to be doing this to please a certain country. Well, if that logic was correct, then if I please this country, I will displease the other candidate. And you know that the process of the selection process is one that has certain characteristics with vetoes and votes and this and that. So, for me, it's a very clear thing, and I'm ready to discuss this with anybody. On the contrary, I think, if I may conclude with that what I do at the head of the IAEA speaks more than words and visions and promises and ideas that I could have as how good or a Secretary General could be. Just look at what I'm doing. This is me.
Next question to Reuters.
Hi,
Hi.
Mr. Grossi. Thank you, Michelle Nichols from Reuters. This morning you told our colleague from AP that Iran didn't appear to be actively enriching uranium. If you could just tell us a little bit about that. And then that you had recently, or the agency had recently detected some renewed movement at the nuclear sites. What sites, what movement, what's being moved? Any more details there?
Yes, well, we have limited detail because our presence, going back to our Chinese colleague question, our presence has been limited. We are trying to build it back. And we are inspecting in Iran, not at every site that we should be doing it, but we are gradually coming back. We are not inspecting the struck or the stricken sites. Natanz, Isfahan, and Fordow, to be very, very clear. We are in discussion with Iran. They are arguing that for security reasons, there should be a discussion on how this is going to be done. But one cannot say that there is not, we are not having a conversation. And I think in terms of what we are seeing, we're not seeing anything relevant that would give, this is the reason of how I answered to your colleague this morning, we do not see anything that would give rise to hypothesis of any substantive work going on there.
Sorry, so it's just movement at the site, not movement of...
Normal movement, you know,
goods
these are big industrial sites. There are trucks, there are people moving, I mean, but nothing that would say, you know, that would allow us to think that there is work involving the material, for example, that is there, or centrifuges or things like that of a certain dimension magnitude.
Thank you.
Question over there. Yes, go ahead.
Namu Abdullah with Rudao Media Network. I think the Iranian parliament recently approved a legislation to suspend cooperation with the IAEA unless certain conditions are met. I'm asking, what concrete steps are you taking to regain full access in order to be able to verify? Thank you.
This is part of what I mentioned when I talked about our meetings and in Cairo. They passed legislation, but as I said very respectfully to my Iranian colleagues, internal legislation creates obligations for Iranians, not for the IAEA. But my effort is to try to conduct a diplomatic effort to try to understand their concerns. They have been attacked, so they have concerns, and we want to address these concerns because we do not think that the inspection work of the IAEA, on the contrary, we believe it's a stabilizing factor. It's a factor that would allow Iran, as I was saying, I can say that there's no nuclear weapon program because we have been inspecting. If we don't inspect, if we are not there, then of course the doubt, the concerns start to grow. So this is why we are answering in this way. We are explaining what we want to do. In fact, they know because they have been inspected for decades. We know our work very, very well. We know how we conduct it. They know how we do it.
Thank you, Director Grossi. My name
Yes.
is Ahmed Fathi of ATN News.
Hello?
Thank you. With regard to nuclear safety,
Yeah.
we have many nuclear power plants in Ukraine, which they are I consider to be the highest at risk. And then we have now with the increased demand on power and with the AI and the data centers has been construction, so
Yes.
there's more nuclear power plants are coming, which is all under civilian use. What are the safety standards and how do they differ between those reactors built by the US or by Russia or by China or by France? Where do we stand and what's the role of the IAEA in trying to mediate sort of an agreement or a treaty similar to the NPT but for nuclear safety for civilian use? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Very important. You know, the good thing is that the safety standards are the same for all. The IAEA, through a commission on safety standards and on standards or on transportation, on waste, on all the activities that are related to the peaceful application of nuclear technology, are approved and agreed by all. So you don't have standards that are lower for one country and higher for a different country. It's the same exact type of safety standards, which is indispensable because in so doing, we can have an element of comparison. And the IAEA does a lot of peer reviewing, safety inspections or visits. So on this, I can reassure you that we have a level playing field.
AP, is there a question?
No,
Okay. So yes,
Yeah. Yes.
Me? Okay, thank you so much. You said, Director Grossi, that you're ready to discuss your candidacy with anybody, so
Yeah.
I'm jumping on the occasion. What do you think is the single most biggest problem the UN is facing right now, and why? What made you decide to run for Secretary General, and what is it you think that you can contribute at this very existential moment for the organization? Thank you.
Let me be careful in addressing this. I will, of course. I never avoid any question. For starters, we all know that the selection process has not formally started. And the selection, and we respect the decisions of the General Assembly and the Security Council, which will be reflected in a joint letter, which is about to be issued jointly, as we know, by the President of the General Assembly and the President of the Security Council. So at that moment, we will have a moment for a detailed discussion. But let me say, without getting into something which is, more specific, two things. I would say that I think we all agree that the United Nations needs change. We all agree that we all care a lot for the UN. And we all agree, I believe, that the UN is not in a good moment at this particular juncture, that there are many things that should change, should evolve, should be adjusted to the situation that we are living. And one part of your question is very pertinent, because you said, what made you think that you can make a contribution? Well, exactly what I'm doing at the IAEA. This is what made me think that I could make a contribution here. Because the IAEA is an organization that is delivering at a very difficult time, and that is dealing with very, very difficult issues. We're talking about two countries at war, for example, Russia and Ukraine. And I'm a regular interlocutor of both belligerents, both presidents. We have just now mediated a truce between Ukraine and Russia to allow us to conduct some repair work, which was very important for the safety of the plant, which was not getting any electricity, and so the cooling function, which is very important, was suspended. Or what we did between China and Japan on the water being discharged from the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Less attention given to this in the West, but a very, very important, very topical issue over there, you may have heard. Or Iran and what is happening there. So I think in all these international crises, the IAEA has had a very important role. And I think we have been able to have an impact. How successful it can be, I mean, it's up to you and the countries to judge. But we are not doing that bad, I believe. So this is why I believe I could make a contribution. I think, clear leadership is needed at that time. Peace and security are at the center of everything we do and should be.
Thank you very much. Bisan Abukwek with Al Jazeera Arabic. You mentioned in the interview with our colleague from AP that the nuclear material that was enriched at 60% is still in Iran. Can you elaborate more on that if you can? Mm-hmm. And do you think that the Israeli strikes on Iran have set back the relationship with Iran and the IAEA when it comes to inspections, and now where we are with the snapback and all of that?
Well, yeah, I would say the damage that has been done on the nuclear infrastructure at these three sites has been very considerable. It's not me saying we have come to our own conclusion, but I think the government of Iran has acknowledged this very, very clearly, and others as well. So I think there is no doubt about this. And of course, the fact that this has, for obvious reasons, set back the nuclear program in Iran considerably. You can have different metrics, and there is no exact measurement of that, but it's very, very, very considerable. And how this affects the work, it does, because of the reasons some of your colleagues were mentioning, and I was trying to address them. Obviously, after this event, Iran took a number of steps, including saying that they would be suspending cooperation, and we entered this discussion in saying, well, we understand your concerns, but really, if you are within the NPT, there are certain things that need to be done. It's not a matter of choosing. There is no a la carte NPT. You can do this or you cannot do that because of sensitivities. But we need to be respectful. We need to recognize that what happened, happened, and we need to reconcile these concerns they have, answer any questions they may have, and insist that we need to do our work. And this is what we are trying to do, including now, including these days.
Thank you so much, Director Grossi, for the briefing. This is Ahmed Ali with Sphinx News TV. On the meeting with Iran facilitated by Egypt in September, you spoke about the important role played by President El-Sisi and Egypt's foreign minister in helping secure that arrangement during a particular contentious period. Could you provide a deeper analysis of how influential Egypt's administration was in getting that deal across the table, perhaps touching on the different difficult conversations they may have helped mediate, and whether you believe such a deal would have been possible without Egypt's involvement? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think I'm very grateful. I'm grateful because, of course, Egypt is a key nation globally in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean, in the world. So the fact that the president of Egypt and the foreign minister were trying to facilitate this dialogue was of great importance. Of course, when it comes to the dialogue, this is strictly bilateral. This is between the IAEA and Iran. But knowing that we have the moral and physical support of such an important country in the Arab world that is facilitating an encounter and a meeting like this, for me was very, very important. And I must say that this conversation continues with other leaders in the world as well. I don't want to, be unfair with anybody. But this has been very important. I'm very grateful, and I say it every time I can, because the support for the IAEAs, some just mention it and some do real stuff. And I'm very grateful to them, and I continue to count on their support.
Hi, Mr. Grossi. I'm Zahra Hojabri from Iran.
Yeah,
Iran believes that your report led to 12-day war. And now, despite the expiration of Resolution 2231, you are raising claims about the movements around Iran's uranium storage site, while saying that the satellite images don't show any acceleration in uranium enrichment.
Yeah.
How do you explain these contradictory reports?
It's not contradictory. This is the truth. Iran is not making nuclear weapons.
No, you are saying the satellites imaging don't show any acceleration in uranium enrichment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And there is none.
No, but you say in the part of your sentence, you are seeing and you are claiming about the movement around Iran's uranium storage.
No, madam. I think you are misquoting me. There is, like I was replying to one of your colleagues before, these are big industrial sites where there is movement, there is activity going on. And we are very quick to indicate that this does not imply that there is activity on enrichment. And let me, if you ask a question, let me answer. And let me say something. You said again something which is wrong, respectfully. You say that a report of the IAEA led to a war. This is something that I vigorously reject. No one can believe that any military activity would be triggered by a report. And one, since you are from IRNA, a very respected news agency, you know my reports. I'm sure you have been reading my reports for many, many years. And you will remember, I'm sure, that in that particular report there was nothing fundamentally different from what we had been reporting and saying for many, many years. Of course, I respect opinions, and if you have that opinion or others, I just regret it because it is not correct. It is not correct to attack an international organization and blame it for something that has nothing to do with it. We are in good cooperation and dialogue with your government, as you know, I'm sure, very respectful work, and we intend to continue in this way. I think this is my spirit, and I hope we'll be able to succeed in moving forward and stabilizing the situation for Iran and for the rest of the Middle East. Thank you very much.
Could you just explain in very simple terms for us how Palantir's Mosaic is used to monitor Iran's nuclear sites? What data is processed and how exactly do you use it? And then after you respond, I have a follow-up.
Yes, it is not used to monitor Iran. We have, or any other country, by the way. There is this idea floating around that the IAEA is working on the basis of some mysterious AI platform that come to conclusions which we follow blindly, and then we do things. Nothing further from the truth. AI is used by your bank, by your insurer, maybe by your sports club. Everywhere we have AI platforms that aid to filter information and to order information. When it comes to safeguards, this is a very delicate work that we carry out with our safeguards inspectors. We gather the information, we sift it, we analyze it, we inspect, so we have the view, direct view, and then we come to conclusions. So I thank you for the questions because it allows me to clarify this, which has been going on unchallenged for quite too long. We inspect, it's the men and women of the IAEA who inspect and draw conclusions, not some mysterious.
But could you elaborate on what type of information, what type of data is going through and how you're using it to inform your decisions?
Well, there's a lot. There is information about scientific publications. There is information about industrial capabilities. There is information about technologies that are used not only in Iran, I would say, in many places. In the past, one would do this manually and would be able to form a picture of capabilities in a country or how the industrial sector of a country would be shaped and would allow us to understand better any activity. This is all.
And seeing as this is powered by AI, how can you know that it has not been hacked or that the data has not been tampered with in some way and is giving you biased or incorrect or even intentionally misleading information?
Well, as I say, we have ways to check this. We do not follow blindly any guidance, human or otherwise. We analyze. We try to be intelligently analyzing things. And the record is there to prove that our information is always on the spot.
Thank you so much, Director General. This is Alex with Russia's RIA Novosti News Agency. I have a quick follow-up on Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. How do you assess the security situation at the power plant? Is it getting better? And if I may, what about the damaged power line Ferosplavna 1? Do you have any updates on that one? Thank you so much, sir.
Well, the situation continues to be very, very serious. And the fact, as I was saying earlier, that we needed to mediate between the two sides to obtain a silence or a deconflicting or a truce, however you may wish to call it, so that the repair work could be done on the Dniprovska line, on the Russian control side, on the Ferosplavna line on the other side, proves it. All right? So we are still in a moment where military operations continue to be carried out there. So much so that you need to broker truce, silence, so the electricians can go up the poles and make the repairs. That was done, and it was a modest but important success. So that is one thing. On the Ferosplavna line, work has started, and it's continuing. So this is what I would be able to tell you at the moment.
Question over there.
Thank you, Mr. Grossi. Stefano Vaccara, Ital Press, La Voce di New York.
Yes.
Sorry. Did you watch the movie A House Full of Dynamite on Netflix?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
No, I wish I could.
Okay, so I heard you to watch it.
Okay, I will.
What is it? I did.
Netflix,
I did this week, and I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I have at this point, my question was how realistic you think it was, but at this point, I ask you, what do you think about the fact that in this country, United States, the decision to basically start or respond with nuclear weapons is to only one person, only one?
Well, listen, I haven't seen the series, and perhaps I will try to find it on Netflix and watch it. But I think this has been part of a debate we have been following. Constitutional procedures are a sovereign right of every nation. And whether that is absolutely correct, there's also a debate. I'm not here to debate the constitutional powers of the executive on this issue, but we know that there are checks and balances. And all I can say is, as IAEA, we respect every country's, constitutional procedures and provisions. I think when it comes to nuclear weapons, though, there should be a system that would ensure that before taking any step that would involve weapons of mass destruction, there would be the necessary procedures to make sure that that is taken as a weapon of last resort.
Thank you, Mr. Grossi. This
Hello.
is Yun Zhaopan from Xinhua News Agency for China.
Hello.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Iran said earlier this month that it requested the IAEA to condemn the U.S. bombing of Iran's nuclear facilities in June. And I wonder if the IAEA has issued such a statement. Can you clarify that?
It's something that we have discussed, and I have discussed directly with my Iranian counterparts on several occasions. What we've done on the occasion is to indicate very clearly that nuclear facilities should not be attacked, and that this is something that runs counter to the statute of the IAEA and also to several resolutions by the General Conference of the IAEA. In terms of finger pointing, it's something that we do not do. We do not get into the politics of issues. The use of force or not is something that countries may decide on their own. But we are very clear on the consequences. We are very clear on the legal framework for that.
Thank you. Evelyn Leopold, Common Dreams, and Dag Hammarskjöld Fund for Journalists. Since the failure of the JCPOA, have successive Iranian governments been more difficult to deal with?
Well, I think the situation at the moment is more complex. Is a more complex situation because until a few weeks ago or month ago, there was some sort of situation where the JCPOA, although it was not being observed by anybody, was sort of a hollow, an empty shell, was still there as a reference, if you want. Now there is a debate, and as you know, even in this debate there is no clarity, because for some apparently JCPOA is over and done with. Others think maybe not so much, which leaves us, international organizations, in a little bit of a difficult situation. However, we do have, when it comes to Iran, something which is very important. We still have a comprehensive safeguards agreement that they have to abide by. And I go back here to my earlier comments that this is not a voluntary measure or an agreement that can or cannot be observed depending on the mood of the day. So the moment they decide to stay in the NPT and the comprehensive safeguards agreement with the IAEA stays valid, there's a regime of inspections which is applicable to Iran, continues to be applicable to Iran. That being said, I think there is also a conviction that one might benefit from a wider understanding, and this is what is being discussed now. What we have been discussing with Iran, and as you know, also the United States has been discussing with Iran. I often confer with Ambassador at Large, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. They are in contact with Iran. Other countries as well. Our colleague was mentioning Egypt. There's a lot of conversation ongoing, let me put it like this, because we do understand, and there is a widespread conviction that to really stabilize the situation, to come to a point where we can say, well, we have more of something like a more predictable situation in country, we need a wider type of arrangement. JCPOA is no longer there. The basic consensus that led to that agreement have disappeared. That is regrettable, but this is the case. But we still need to have a charted course, a clarity for the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grossi. My name is Islam Doğru from Anadolu Agency.
Yeah.
There are 3 or 4 countries around the world who haven't signed the NPT.
Mm-hmm.
What is your relation with them in terms of the nuclear security? Do you get in touch with them?
Yeah.
Do you get to check their nuclear safety?
Yeah.
Also, do you encourage them in general to sign NPT? Thank you.
Yes, to all of those questions. First of all, we encourage all of them to sign the NPT. I think the NPT should be universal. Every country which is outside the NPT should consider signing it. Of course, then there are the national decisions and the reasons for that. And you know that depending on the countries that you have in mind, when you talk about this, the explanations differ. But, and when it comes to relations, we have more than relations. We inspect them. We do not inspect everything. That is the difference. When you have a comprehensive safeguards agreement, the word says it. It's comprehensive. All the facilities are inspected. And if you have an additional protocol, which is even better, you can go to places where were not declared and you think that it would be important to go. In the case of these countries, what they have is a type of inspection system that allows us to inspect certain places where they say you can come and inspect, so which is really very limited. It is very limited. But we do have this relationship. This relationship continues. And of course, we always appeal countries to join the NPT. All.
Thank you very much. We now have to finish because the session starts in a few minutes. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.